Garrett Mason pushed his cleaning cart down the gleaming hallway of SkyTech Aviation. At 49 years old, he had been working as a janitor here for 8 years. Every night, he cleaned the offices, emptied the trash, mopped the floors. It was honest work, and it paid the bills. Garrett was a single father. His daughter Amy was 17 and getting ready for college after his wife died 6 years ago from cancer. Garrett had to start over. He had been a helicopter pilot in the military, 20 years of service, but when he came home, he found that civilian aviation jobs were hard to come by, especially for someone his age without recent commercial experience. So he took what he could get. The janitorial job at SkyTech paid decent wages, had good benefits, and it let him be home when Amy needed him at night when she was asleep. He worked during the day. He was there for her. It was enough. SkyTech Aviation was one of the premier helicopter manufacturers in the country. They designed and built custom aircraft for corporations and wealthy clients. The headquarters was impressive glass and steel, filled with engineers and designers, people with advanced degrees and big ideas. Garrett cleaned their offices, and they barely noticed him. He was part of the background, invisible. But Garrett did not mind. He listened to audiobooks while he worked, saved money for Amy's college fund, kept his head down. Tonight was different. Though as Garrett cleaned the executive floor, he could hear raised voices. The CEO's office door was open. Garrett tried not to listen, but the voices carried. It was Vanessa Sterling, the CEO. She had taken over the company 3 years ago when her father retired. Vanessa was in her early 40s, blonde, always impeccably dressed. She had a reputation for being brilliant, but demanding, some said impossible to work with. "I do not care what the engineers say." Vanessa's voice rang out. "The Phoenix is our flagship model. It should fly perfectly, but it does not." "Ma'am," came another voice, her assistant. "Probably we have had 3 test pilots refuse to take it up. They say the control systems are too unstable. Then find me a pilot who can handle it," Vanessa snapped. "We have a demonstration scheduled for next week. The board is already skeptical about this project. If we cannot show them a working prototype, they will pull funding." Garrett kept cleaning, moving his mop quietly. There was a long silence. Then Vanessa spoke again, her voice tired. "Maybe they are right. Maybe I pushed too hard on the design. Maybe the Phoenix is not ready." Garrett paused. He knew about the Phoenix. Everyone at SkyTech did it. It was Vanessa's pet project, a revolutionary new helicopter design, lighter, faster, more efficient. But the rumors in the break room were that it had problems, serious problems. The next morning, Garrett was finishing his shift. The sun was coming up the building, still mostly empty. He was emptying trash cans in the hangar when he saw it. The Phoenix, it sat in the middle of the massive space, sleek, beautiful, black with gold accents. Even sitting still, it looked fast. Garrett walked closer. He could not help himself. He had been around helicopters his whole adult life. This one was stunning. The design was unconventional. The rotor configuration was different. The control surfaces were modified. He could see what Vanessa had been trying to do, reduce weight while increasing stability, but he could also see the problem. The balance was off. The center of gravity was too far forward. Aircraft. Garrett spun around. Vanessa Sterling stood behind him. She was wearing a red dress, carrying a coffee cup, looking at him with curiosity. "I used to Garrett said long time ago. Vanessa walked closer. "What do you mean used to?" Garrett hesitated. "I was a military helicopter pilot 20 years. Vanessa's eyes widened slightly. "And now you are a janitor here." Garrett nodded. "Life changes, ma'am. My wife got sick. I needed steady work, good benefits. This job gave me that." Vanessa looked at the Phoenix, then back at Garrett. "What? Do you think of her? She is beautiful," Garrett said honestly, "but she has got a problem." Vanessa's expression sharpened. "What problem?" "The center of gravity." Garrett said, "It is too far forward. The engine placement. You are trying to save weight, but it is making her nose heavy. That will make her unstable in flight, especially in crosswinds or quick maneuvers." Vanessa stared at him. "Our engineers have been arguing about this for months. Half say you are right, half say the computer models prove it is fine." Garrett shrugged. "Computer models do not always account for real-world conditions. I have flown aircraft that looked perfect on paper but wanted to kill you in the air." Vanessa was quiet for a moment, then she said something that surprised him. "Can you fly her?" Garrett looked at the Phoenix. "Ma'am, I have not flown in years. I do not have a current commercial license, and if your test pilots will not fly her, there is probably a good reason." Vanessa smiled. It was not a warm smile. It was challenging. "I will tell you what, Mr. Mason," Garrett said. "Mr. Mason, I dare you. You think you know what is wrong with my helicopter? Prove it, fly her." Garrett felt his heart race. "Ma'am, that is not a good idea." "Why not?" Vanessa said. "You just told me what is wrong. If you are right, you will know how to compensate. If you are wrong, well, it is not like I have anything to lose at this point." This felt wrong, reckless. But Garrett looked at the Phoenix and felt something he had not felt in years. The pull, the desire to fly. "I would need to do a pre-flight check," Garrett heard himself say thoroughly, "and I am not taking her up if anything looks wrong." Vanessa's smile grew deal. Word spread through SkyTech like wildfire. The Janitor was going to fly. The Phoenix engineers came to watch designers. Even some of the board members who happened to be visiting Vanessa's assistant tried to talk her out of it. The liability, the insurance, the optics. But Vanessa waved him off. Garrett spent an hour going over the helicopter, checking every system, testing every control. The chief engineer stood nearby, a man named Howard. He looked nervous. "The control response is touchy." Howard said, "Very sensitive, small inputs create big movements." Garrett nodded. "That is the weight issue. Less mass means more reaction. I will need to have a light touch." "Are you sure you can do this?" Howard asked. There was genuine concern in his voice. "No," Garrett said honestly, "but I am going to try." He climbed into the cockpit. The seat felt familiar, like coming home. He strapped in, put on the headset, started running through the startup procedures. Muscle memory took over his hands. Knew what to do, even if his mind was racing. Vanessa's voice came through the headset. She was in the control tower. "Mr. Mason, you are clear for takeoff whenever you are ready." Garrett took a deep breath. He started the engine. The rotor began to turn. The familiar whump 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 filled the air. He could feel the Phoenix vibrating alive. He pulled up on the collective. The helicopter lifted off the ground immediately. He felt what the other pilots had felt. She was twitchy, hypersensitive. Every tiny movement of the controls created an exaggerated response. But Garrett had flown unstable aircraft before, in combat zones, in terrible weather. He knew how to work with a difficult bird. He kept his movements small, gentle. The Phoenix rose smoothly, 20 feet, 50 feet, 100 feet down below. People were watching. Garrett could see them gathered outside the hangar. He put the Phoenix through basic maneuvers: forward, flight, backwards, sideways, turns. The helicopter responded beautifully when he made the right inputs, but one wrong move and she tried to get away from him. After 10 minutes, Garrett brought her back down, landing smoothly on the hangar floor. He shut down the engine, climbed out. The gathered crowd erupted in applause. Vanessa was walking across the tarmac toward him. Her expression was unreadable. "Well," Garrett said, "she flies, but barely." Vanessa stopped in front of him. "You made it look easy." It was not. Garrett said, "She is on the edge of being unflyable. If you put an inexperienced pilot in there or someone who panics, they will crash." Vanessa's face fell. "So the Phoenix is a failure?" "No," Garrett said, "she just needs adjustments. Move the fuel tanks back 18 inches. Add a small counterweight to the tail boom. Recalibrate the control sensitivity. Make the inputs less twitchy. She will be incredible." Vanessa looked at Howard. "Can we do that?" Howard nodded slowly. "Yes, it will take some work. But yes, we can do that." Vanessa turned back to Garrett. "Mr. Mason, I want to offer you a job, chief test pilot. Help us fix the Phoenix. Help us make her what she is supposed to be." Garrett was stunned. "Ma'am, I am a janitor. I know what you are," Vanessa said. "I also know what you were, and what you could be again." She extended her hand. "What do you say?" Garrett thought about Amy, about college tuition, about the life he had been living, safe, quiet, small. Then he thought about the feeling of flying again, of doing what he was meant to do. "I will need to get my commercial license current," Garrett said. "That will take time. We will pay for it." Vanessa said, and pay you while you do it. Garrett shook her hand. Then I accept. Over the next 6 months, Garrett worked with the engineering team. They made the modifications he suggested, and dozens more small adjustments. Fine-tuning, the Phoenix transformed. She went from barely flyable to exceptional. Garrett got his licenses, current flew, test flights provided feedback. The engineers listened to him, respected him. He was not invisible anymore. Amy was proud of him. She told everyone her dad was a test pilot, that he was helping build the future of aviation. The demonstration for the board was a success. Garrett flew the Phoenix through a series of complex maneuvers. She performed flawlessly. The board approved, full production orders started coming, and Skytech's stock price soared. Vanessa called Garrett to her office one afternoon. "Sit down," she said. Garrett sat. "I want to thank..." She began. "You saved this project. Maybe you saved this company." Garrett shook his head. "You built an incredible machine. I just helped polish it." Vanessa smiled. "You did more than that. You showed me something important." "What is that?" "That brilliance can come from anywhere. I was so focused on degrees and credentials and resumes, I almost missed someone extraordinary." She paused. "I am making you Vice President of Flight Operations. You will oversee all our test programs, build your own team." Garrett was speechless. It is a lot." "I know," Vanessa said, "but you have earned it. And honestly, I need people around me who will tell me the truth, even when it is hard to hear." Especially then. Garrett accepted. He built a team of pilots, some from military backgrounds like him, others who had been overlooked or underestimated. He created a culture where experience mattered more than pedigree, where honesty was valued over politics. 3 years later, the Phoenix won industry awards. It became Skytech's best-selling model. Garrett stood on stage accepting an innovation award. Amy was in the audience. She was in college now, studying aerospace engineering. She wanted to design aircraft like her father flew them in his speech. Garrett talked about second chances, about how life can change in unexpected ways, about how we should never stop being open to new possibilities. After the ceremony, Vanessa approached him. "Remember when you were just the janitor?" she said with a smile. Garrett laughed. "I was never just the janitor. I was a person with skills and experience waiting for someone to see me." Vanessa nodded. "I am glad I did. I am glad I dared you to fly that helicopter." Garrett looked at the award in his hands. "Best dare I ever took that night." Garrett drove home. He thought about the path that had led him here, the loss of his wife, the years of quiet struggle, the night job cleaning floors. None of it had been wasted. All of it had prepared him for this moment, for the opportunity. When it came, he understood. Now life is not about the title on your business card or the size of your office. It is about being ready, about staying sharp, about believing you still have something to offer, even when the world treats you like you are invisible. Garrett had been a janitor. Now he was a vice president. But he was the same person with the same skills, the same dedication, the same worth. The only thing that had changed was that someone had finally seen it and given him a chance to prove it. If this story inspired you, please like and share it with someone who needs to remember that their current circumstances do not define their potential. Subscribe for more stories about second chances, hidden talents, and the power of believing in people others overlook. Leave a comment telling us about a time someone saw potential in you, or a time you saw it in someone else. Every person has gifts worth discovering. Thank you for listening.